I think what I'm about to say, it might not work for everybody else, innit? But this works for me. When we talk about mental health, yeah, like over the years when also I've had my personal, mental health going up and down. Like you said, like we're only humans and we always, our mental health, it goes up and down. We have good times, bad times, and it's like, like it's like a roller coaster, really.
Yeah.
So for me, what I realized is like in terms of like being in tune with my own emotions, like for me, in terms of like dealing with my mental health, it's like for a second, yeah. And once again, I'm not saying this is for everybody, but
Yeah.
this is for me. What I do basically, sometimes I spend like a day or two sitting, basically like sitting in my own emotions. Like feeling sorry for myself, proper tapping into like whatever's going on. Rather than just trying to run away from it.
Yeah.
Because for me, I realize once I sit down in my emotions, feeling sorry for myself for a day or two, it literally, after a good 2 days or whatever, it literally, there's something, a switch just comes on, like, you know what, chef? Come on, mate, you know what to do. You can't be sitting around feeling sorry for yourself, man. Now we felt these emotions, fucking hell, man, let's look for a solution. You go, I'm coming from. So I feel like, yeah, man, different people have got different ways of dealing with their emotions. But like what you said something very, very important. I think sometimes people forget that, nah, man, it's all part of life. If you try to fight, if you think like, why is this happening to me? Why is this happening to me? No. Bad times are always gonna come for all of us at different times, but at the same time, we just need to accept it. Like, yeah, man, this is some shit I'm going through, but this is also gonna pass. You get what I'm trying to say? Like,
Nothing's permanent.
nothing's permanent whatsoever. Do you get what I'm trying to say? Like, just a few more questions before we conclude.
Yeah.
Going back to your DJing journey, your amazing DJing journey, like the buzz. Like just getting that buzz. Because I think once again, in everything that we do, I believe some people usually say this, like especially footballers. I'm gonna keep on bringing up because I love football. Like when footballers say like, once I get on the pitch and I feel like my body can't give anymore, or I'm just not excited to go training anymore. That's when I feel like it's time for me to hang up the boots, right? So for you, like getting that buzz, like in terms of like moving forward in future and whatnot, would you say like you definitely still got that buzz, or obviously by default it's not the same as it was when you first started, if you got what I'm trying to say?
It's a great question. It goes back to the reinvent yourself. Doing the things that you choose to do. Like last, not weekend just gone, but the weekend before, I played the 2 gigs in Manchester. One was a kind of old Joey Riot type set, and another one was more the kind of European hardcore style set. And they're both in both Manchester, both huge events. And my friend who comes up to a lot of gigs with me, drives to a lot of the shows as well. My friend Daza, he's seen me play countless times, and he was like, they're the 2 of the best sets I've ever seen you play. And I think there's a few reasons behind that. Like I'm getting to a place where I'm really starting to really appreciate what I've got. Going back to that kind of that mantra that I talk about, gratitude and everything like that. The fact that I was able to go and do a show and play like my really old stuff, and people were reacting to it amazingly. I remember saying to my friend before, but I was like, listen, man, I'm going to take it easy for this set, because the show across the road, and like no disrespect, I was like, this is for me, the next one's going to be more fun, and I'm going to be playing a couple of new tunes that I've made, so I want to save myself for that performance. Man, I came off that first set, I was covered in sweat, I absolutely soaked through, because it was like so much fun. I think one of the things I've done is like I took all the expectations away. I was like, I said to my friend, I was like, I'm just going to have fun with this for me. And it gets back to like me talking about making the music. Like you do it for you first and foremost, and then everyone else's reaction is either a positive or negative reaction to that. And when you're on stage having the time of your life, it's difficult for the crowd not to react to that in a positive way, especially when they know who you are. That's obviously an added bonus. But 2 or 3 tracks in, I'm like, oh, I love this tune, forgot about this tune. Like I was pulling off mixes that I'd never done before, and everything was like super tight. So it was like, in terms of mixing, it was probably one of 2 of the best sets that I've ever done. Track selection was like proper on point. Every time I dropped a track, it just got the amazing reaction. The reaction just kept going up and going up and going up. And yeah, so like then I'm like, man, how's the next set going to top that? And it's literally 8 minutes across Manchester. I go across Manchester and it's like an hour and a half later after the first set. So I get backstage, I meet some old friends from the gigs I used to play in Holland, like catch up. So I see all these faces I've not seen in ages. I'm like, this is amazing, man. Yeah. And then, you know, stage manager comes and gets me. He's like, ready to come through now. And I'm like, I've had a couple of drinks, I'm nice and warmed up. I've already played a set already, so I'm in the zone. I come through the crowd, people are stopping me for photographs and stuff. That's always nice for the ego, wee stroke of the ego. I go on the stage, the sound system in the room is just incredible. Again, my track selection mixing was, you know, right up there with the best I think I've ever done. And the reaction from the crowd was just bonkers, man. To the point where, you know, as I'm 46, going to be 47 in March, like at the end of the set, I've done a stage dive, man, and there's a, you know, I've got a video that I posted on my Instagram. Like, I'm just like, and I probably shouldn't do that, you know, I'm not getting any younger. And I think that's you know, physically there's going to be a point where I can't do that, but you know, when I climbed up on that speaker stack and I see the crowd and I'm just like, you know, I know the drop's going to come. I seen a few of them news that are coming, they're shifting out of the way, so I just looked for the biggest group of people and just threw myself into them, and then I'm in the crowd for the last song, just dancing about with everybody. And you know, there's two reasons for that. One is like, it was that urge. There wasn't like a pre-planned thing. It was like, it felt like the right thing to do. And when I'm in the crowd, you know, everybody's just going crazy. I'm like, oh my god, the DJ's now here, what the hell? So when you think, because I don't think about it from that perspective to start with, but then when you go backstage and you're after the set, you think about how the crowd actually, because they just see everybody up there and then you're in amongst them. And again, that goes right back to the start of my career where I'm like, I always felt like I was a DJ of the people. I was one of them. I'm still one of them. I'm still a raver at heart. So, you know, that, you know, just being a couple of steps back up on stage, it doesn't make a difference, because, you know, 45 minutes to an hour later, I'm going to be back in that crowd again, you know, that's through a stage dive. So yeah, the keeping that that intensity of like loving it it can be tricky sometimes. There has been points in my career where I thought, yeah, I've kind of had enough, and when I feel like that, then I've just changed tack completely. Like, I've quit projects, I've started something completely new, and you know, where I'm at just now musically and everything else, I'm really, really enjoying it. I think a lot of the time in the past, I was too busy performing to stop and take stock of some of the enormity of some of the shows I was doing, because the couple of times that I did do it, it would get overwhelming in terms of like emotion. Like, there was a gig in Masters of Hardcore in Holland once, where we made this track called Sound Becomes One with a DJ called Party Razor. Huge track for us. It won track of the year. And you know, we won an award for that, and people got like the lyrics tattooed on them, like just there's literally hundreds of people coming up with tattoos of stuff that I'd written, you know, written all on the legs and stuff, and I'm just like mind blown. And this track took like 2 weeks to make, and by the end of the 2 weeks I fucking hated it, man, because I'm like, this is just a chore. And then so we played it out. We were playing the last set of the night, 20,000 people in a big indoor arena. It's the last track of the night, and it was one of the few points in my career where I kind of stopped and just stopped being in performance mode, and I wasn't Joey Riot anymore. I was just Joseph McHugh, and I realised what was going on. I was like, just this overwhelming. Yeah, because I seen how people react, because it was the first time we'd ever played it, and when the breakdown came, and you know, it's this beautiful haunting vocal, there's people like crying in the front row and stuff like that, and my legs literally just gave way, and I'm like, I'm getting emotional thinking about it. I was like, I had to just sit on the edge of the stage, and I was like, and I'm like, what? I couldn't believe it, and people were going crazy because of my reaction as well, which was making me even worse. And I'm like, my heart's going, and you know, people were just like, you know, they're crying because I'm like, you know, joyfully upset, and it was just such a beautiful moment. And I had a similar one at the end of my Rave Riot event as well, where I'd done like a little speech. I can't remember exactly what I said, but it was like thanking everybody that came, and you know, the DJs that had played with me. I was like, I promise I wouldn't cry. But it was one of those moments where it was like, you know, I was performing for 5 hours, and then that last little bit, I was like, I'm going to just like step out of being Joey Riot. You know, I've always said there's a Joey Riot switch. I press the switch and I entertain. That's it. Everybody's getting the best show. There's a lot. It comes from a personal place. I'm really enjoying myself, but it's almost like an out of body experience. I'm just, no matter what outside things are going on, how big the crowd is, whatever happened in my life, you know, all outside distractions go, and it's showtime. But there's those few points in my career where it's just, I've like literally stopped and just went, breathed it all in, and it's like, I wish I'd stopped to smell the roses a few times more, but the great thing is I'm still going, so I'm starting to do that a bit more, and that's what's making it really beautiful, still being able to do this after all this time, for sure.
Nah, bro, you're still going for sure, and like you said, man, like you still get the buzz from everything that everything that you're doing, every gig that you do, like just a random one as well, yeah. Because again, like here we don't, like when I say certain things, like what we said, it's good to be honest. Otherwise, you'll be chatting shit to yourself. Last week it was my birthday. I'm 34 now.
Happy birthday!
Thank you, my bro. I had a fucking good time. That's for sure, man. For those who came to my party, they know we had a fucking blast. And one thing, again, sometimes I like to check myself, because like what we keep on saying, if you lie to other people, if you don't keep it real with yourself, then there's something wrong. And I just realized, because obviously that all of us have got like targets, we've got goals in terms of like the older we get, certain things that we want to accomplish or get when we get to a certain age, right? I feel like that goes for everybody, And for me, this thing of just like feeling like a man, like feeling as a man, I'll be brutally honest with you. Because I'm not where I want to be. Certain things I haven't really, accomplished for whatever personal reasons. I feel like I'm 34, but I don't feel like a man. I could honestly say that, I just feel like I'm still a young man. Like for you,
me too.
When did you like? This is gonna be like one of my random questions, like through this conversation. Like for you, like when did you get to actually an actual point where you actually feel like you're a fully grown man?
I don't even know if that's happened yet. I don't, honestly, man. Man's falling to the couch laughing. It's weird. It's weird. It's weird though, man, because like I don't know if it's. This is the thing, when you're younger and you look at someone that's in their 30s or 40s, you're like, they're old people, and like, even like the kids that go to parties that I play at, I hit this shit, someone in the crowd in Manchester had their iPhone and they had just this scrolling across the screen saying, how old are you? And they were like, first of all, I thought they were trying to get like a shout out. Some people, shout out to so and so, but I just kept saying, and she was like, how? I grabbed the mic, I was like, 1012 in my Scottish accent. I'm not far off it, but talking about like being a man, because what is being a man? It's like, being responsible, being, accountable, and there's some of those things, like I feel like I've definitely grown up in the last few years, which seems ridiculous to say when you're, the wrong side of 45, to think that, you're only just getting there. I attribute that to a few things. Like, number one, I've been immature for a lot of my life, and not taking accountability or responsibility for what I've done. Also, I think like the job I do is there's a few things behind the job I do. So first of all, I'm in an environment where people are just partying all the time. And it's predominantly young people, so it's hard to my friends back home, for instance, who are like all settled down, get kids and married, and the house, bought house, so all the usual trappings of getting older, their hair's falling out and everything, like all these kind of things. Whereas like I'm in a sphere where it's like it is a young man's game. So I feel the pressure to try and the older I get, the more I'm trying to be in shape. I'm trying to look after myself. Not party as much as I used to. Try and get some sleep. Things like that. Be responsible from a business perspective, which is something that I never ever done. And there's a bunch of contributing factors to that. One of the things, major things, was like you don't get taught that stuff at school. Like, you don't get taught. School's a place where you get rewarded for remembering stuff. Like it's just a big remembering exercise. Like, do you remember enough questions for this subject? And I just think that there's no critical thinking. There's no like real life skills. Like, how do you do your taxes? What is money and how do you handle it? How do you save? Like, all these things that are actually important skill sets that you need in life to succeed and be a man. You don't get taught any of that stuff, and when you've not got a father figure in your life who's about, and all your other friends are just as young and crazy as you, then it's difficult from that perspective to grow up and also then move into the industry that I was in, where everyone's like just woohoo, and then like during the week it's just solitude. So I go from like one extreme to the other. Not so much now. I do find a lot of balance in my life. I see friends, I cut down the amount of hours of work. I try to spend time with my missus and take my dog. I spend so much time with my dog. He's with me everywhere I can go. But like, you know, most of my professional career was all week I'm on my own, like completely on my own in my studio, you know, and then at the weekend I'm thrust in front of thousands of people who are like chanting my name, Joy, Joy, fucking Riot. And then you go back to an empty hotel room and it's just you, and that buzz is still going, and then it just starts to dissipate. And then on the Monday morning you're standing doing the dishes, looking out the window in your pants thinking, is this what it's all came to? You know, is this almost like sad loneliness where you're just like, all my friends are at work and I'm just stood here, you know, everybody sees the glamorous part of the lifestyle, you know, you're in a club, you're in a VIP section, drinks are flowing, party. They don't see you standing in your pants doing the dishes crying on a Monday. They don't see that part, but it's part of the life. If you want to be a DJ, be prepared for that, because it's going to happen, you know, superstar DJ or not, you're going to be ironing your t-shirt and stuff on your own in a hotel room, feeling it can be a very very lonely life, because you spend so much time alone honing your craft, and you get so dedicated to it that you kind of block out the rest of reality and the rest of the world, and then at the weekend again, like, you're thrust into all these people. But it's a false economy, that, because it's like you feel like because for years I thought that's what was missing in my life. I had this big home life, and that's when I went to therapy and we spoke about that. I was like, I spent all these years thinking I knew something was missing. There was a big hole in my life, and I thought if I could get as many people to love me as possible, aka the crowd, then I'm going to feel wanted and loved and respected, and then fulfilled. And guess what? I didn't. Not even close. And it took a couple of like real big breakdowns for me to kind of realise, like, this is not, and also going to therapy and talking that through and finding out, like, that wasn't what I was needing. I was needing good personal relationships with friends and family and you know, partners or whoever was involved in my life. I had to, like, cultivate those friendships. I had to spend time with people, you know, doing things like this where I'm like, yeah, there's somebody that, you know, we spent 2 weeks together at a college, and you reach out to me and I'm like, of course I'm going to come and speak to him, because he's a great guy and he's trying to do something important with his life. And like, how difficult is it? I'm only up the road, like, why would I not take the time to come and do this? And who knows what's going to come out of this, you know. We've talked about things, we've helped each other out today already before we started the podcast, and that's what it's all about. These are the things that actually fill that hole. It wasn't the success, and everything's great, don't get me wrong, like, that is fulfilling. You talk about like being a man, you know, I think that's what being a man is like understanding that you've got to respect and bring up the people round about you. And when I say bring up, I mean like bring them up with you, like show people that there's, you know, whether you're there for them emotionally or you're there to give them advice or you're just even there just to listen, just to let them vent. That's being a man to me. That's being a man, and not judging and not getting angry. You know, all the things that I used to be. That's being a real man and taking responsibility seriously, which I'm still working on, by the way.